Hey, good evening, trading addicts. Welcome to the weekly watch list. This is Jeff Kohler, aka Option Addict, from over at www.tradingaddicts.com. So, market analysis, quick follow-up from last week. We were talking about this developing wedge pattern and how where we were last week, we'd probably work our way down to the lower end of this range, and once we got there, we'd probably see a little bit of a bounce. The end game, though, was that, like I mentioned, I think that this 1370 to the upside probably holds for about a week or so, I think, going forward. And that low that we put in on Thursday probably holds as well. So I don't wonder if we try to consolidate in here for about a week to 2 weeks. I mean, it seems like the market, in terms of participants, has found a balance, which is usually pretty rare. We've been following the investor sentiment survey, which has been pretty well split across the board. So it wouldn't surprise me to see prices coil up here near highs for a little while. Plus, for all you bears, usually a top, if this were going to be one, will take a little bit of time and a little bit of process. So, and plus we've got earnings coming out, so we'll learn a lot about market direction, I think, over the course of the next couple of weeks. But what I'm really looking for this week is to really focus on individual names. The only themes that I like are still the same ones that I talked about from last week. I think the biggest one is energy, oil. I've been watching this UCO, and last week on the video that we did, we talked about this reversal pattern, that it was a little bit early to be talking about it last week, but it was early enough to where we got some pretty good entry points in some energy stocks. But the reversal pattern, I think, looks pretty obvious now at this point, especially with prices up here near their neckline. So if we see a breakout that holds, especially in oil and the OIH, then we should see a lot of those stocks lift. Last week we were calling out stuff like Halliburton, Baker Hughes, Patterson. We looked at quite a few, but still like that as a bullish theme from this week. And I wonder if that starts to spill over into the materials sector just a little bit. Steel stocks look pretty interesting. Anyways, so I think the big tell last week was that while equities were really, really weak, oil was holding up really, really well. If you compare price action in oil versus equities last week, or even copper, copper is always a great tell. All of those were pointing to a market that wasn't going to get crushed. So, and I think that carries forward this week. We'll continue to watch the same instruments that we always do, but that's what I wanted to follow up on. Let me talk about a couple of just real quick setups that I want to focus on for this week. If you're a dip buyer, the location in 3D Systems as a bullish play here looks pretty good, looks pretty easy. I've been playing with this Deckers Outdoor. We've been talking about the longer term setup here, and we've been just nailing these wedge patterns left and right. They've been working out really, really well. Every year it seems like there's one pattern that just works real good. We've been talking about 2012 is the year of the wedge. So down here, the way price action's been consolidating, it looks really, really good. And if you even dial this down, we had some really crazy action on Friday. Big breakout, big sell-off. There was a lot of indecision, a lot of volume traded too. So I don't wonder if we clear a few shorts, we see a little bit of short covering on up through 50. So that's kind of what I'm looking for this week. Same thing with Netflix. Netflix is really in an interesting spot here. The way that it's been sitting here and flagging. We looked a lot at the volume profile. The volume profile looks like it should see an easy move on up to about 93, which is right around where that 200-day moving average is. So we'll see if that happens this week. I also like in energy, there's a CJES. It's been coiling up for a little while. High short interest. Volume's been picking up. Looks like a little bit of accumulation. Looks pretty good. Don't know exactly why yet, but I'm kind of liking the look of price line here, just for a little bounce. And let's see what else did I have. OVTI, high short interest. Looking like it's reached the bottom here. If this thing pops up, you might see it go to about 13.5 or so. Maybe see a nice little 6 to 7% move over the course of a couple days if the market can stay up. Couple of bearish plays I like. Amazon. The way Amazon kind of broke down, sold off as hard as it did. I think Amazon, once it gets up just a little bit more, I want to look to try to short this thing up around above 220, to 225. And then VMware. VMware, if I see this thing just a little around 90, 88 to 90, I think that's going to be a pretty good spot. But some of the little small caps, which is really where most of my interest is this week, I got to be honest, trying to trade options in a market that's found some pretty good balance in terms of, bulls and bears. It's going to be a pretty tough one to trade with short-dated options. So the little equities are looking really good to me here. Plus, the Russell's been leading, so I think the cheap stocks, small caps, they ought to continue to work pretty well. Anyways, RFMD looks pretty good. I like this GFA. Some of the volume that got pumped into some of these names on Friday look really, really good. Plus the pattern seems like it's kind of setting up down here. GFA, SID, SID. Nice little setup for a double bottom here. Big, big volume on Friday. And then MT. MT looks really good. Really good spot. Good base here. Those are looking good. I also like AXK. Thin name. Thin name. But I don't know if you follow this stock. Last times we've traded this, it had been pretty thin going into a breakout. And then once this thing really gets going, it coils up really well. And when it spikes, it goes for a few days. So this is one that's kind of already started to break out. Not a lot of volume. But go back and look at this thing historically. You know, we've been banging money out of the stock for a long time. Back here when it's coiled up in the past, same thing. It'll run double, triple in value in a short space of time. And it'll attract the volume. So watch that. Watch this OSIR. Again, another beautiful little flag or wedge pattern going on in this one. I'm going to look for a breakout in this here this week. And last but not least, MITK. Again, call it consolidation here near lows, looking for a break back up through this pocket. Should be a nice move. So that's some of the stuff that I've been able to separate through a little bit of work. And the setups aren't really as, there aren't as many as I saw last week, but still some pretty good ones for the week ahead. So that's what I got tonight, guys. Hopefully it's a profitable trading for you. This has been the Option Addict. That's been my watch list. Thanks for watching. Have a great week.